Okay, we are ready to go. You out there, Mr. Stevens? Mr. Stevens, you there, buddy? Or did I not bring you up? I think you're there.
Here I am. My Discord messed up.
Okie dokie. All right, well, let me go and get, remember, if you forgot, we have 15 minutes for reading and 15 minutes for photo editing. Sometimes we extend the time a little bit back and forth. What I was trying to do this semester with you all is I was, my daughter is doing some teaching, student teaching at a public school and third graders, and she claims that they cannot read. So I
Mm.
was searching for free online short stories to read. And I can see why we got to be careful because when I was doing this, it brought us to some of these short stories, and some of them seem to be a little inappropriate. So I'm going to spend my time trying to figure out which way would be the best. Now, of course, we have Book Riot right here, and 18 great short stories you can read free online. All right, 18 great stories. Let's see. As I was searching for this, what in the world? Procrastination is not laziness; it is a depression response. That should be fascinating right there. The Library Babel. I'm wondering if these are the short stories they're talking about. These are super short. So let's go to read. We're in the reading part. All right, so let's read a little bit of this and let's see where. I used to have a book that used to have some really cool short stories and they had a little point to it. And I'm not a big reader of things like books. So therefore, I want to crazy about it. But I like that book for the short stories. Okay, so here's one right here by George Luis Borges, The Library of Babel or Babel, whichever way you want to pronounce it. It says the world is a library that contains all the books that have ever been written, but most of them are indecipherable. Many people venture to the library to find the meaning of life. It reminded me of Terry Pratchett's Discovery Library. And then he says, perhaps my old age and fearfulness deceive me, but I suspect that the human species, the unique species, is about to be extinguished, but the library will endure, illuminated, solitary, infinite, perfectly motionless, equipped with precious volumes, useless, incorruptible, and secret. I don't know about this story right here. I mean, if you're like a third grader, this is just gonna go over your head. If you're a senior, probably this might prick your thoughts and say, "What is this guy talking about?" Okay. If this is a super short story. Think about it. This is what I get from this story. The world is a library that contains all the books that have ever been written. I definitely agree with that. Sometimes we don't think about it, but it is a library. You wake up in the morning, you do the same routine most of the time. Okay, that's a book on what? Routines. That's a book on what? On you things that work for you, for an individual. People write books about, hey, get into the routine and do that, and you're already doing that. You go out, you go to work, that's another book. You got to go and sustain your life. Survival of the fittest. Whoever works is going to get money, is going to get better things. You don't work, you're not going to get money. You're going to go and live off somebody else. Uh, so, once again, I agree with this. So, the thought is straight to the point. It's not pulling any punches. Uh, let me go ahead and tell my bilingual people here. Lo que acabamos de leer aquí es una historia bien chiquitita. Y lo que vemos aquí dice, the world, el mundo. Hey, that's Spanish for you, buddy. Pay attention to the words right here. And everybody else, the world, el mundo, is a library. Es una librería. Library, librería. That contains, que contiene, that contains all the books, todos los libros, books, libros, books, libros, that have ever been written, que han hecho, que fueron escritos. But most of them are indecipherable. Now watch this. You're saying to yourself, what is that? Indecipherable. Okay, well, what do we teach you in this school? You got to be self-sustained, right? Are you going to have a teacher during the week? No, you're not. So guess what? You're going to go ahead and copy and paste that. Command C. You're going to come up here and you're going to type in define and then Command V. That's Control V for Windows. And then it gives you the definition of the word if you're trying to figure out what is that. I don't even know what that is. That's why this school is self-sustained. During the week, you are your own teacher. We're teaching you how to teach yourself. Okay? So when you didn't have anybody there with you to tell you what this word is, we're teaching you how to figure that out. Okay, so look at what it says. Not able to read or understand. That's what indecipherable. Indecipherable. Okay? Not able to read or understand. So now that you know the meaning of it, you go back and you read up on it and say, okay, let me see if I understand it better. Oh, so what he's saying, but most of them are, hard to read or not understandable. So yeah, the stories that are routines in life, sometimes we don't understand it perfectly, and that makes sense. This short answer here. Many people venture, in other words, go out. Many people venture to the library to find the meaning of life. Uh, they go out and go and buy a bunch of books and read them and all that. Why? Because they're putting more into a little package that you can open it up like a Christmas present and that you can go and read it. That's why you're able to you want to go to the library. You got help books. It's not going to tell you the routine that you do in the morning, but it's going to tell you how to do a routine. So many people venture to the library to find the meaning of life. When if you think about it, you are walking the meaning of life. You are living the meaning of life. But the library puts it more into a nice little present that you can open up and figure out exactly what you're doing. And look at what it says. It reminded me of Terry Pratchett's Discovery Discworld Library. And now this part over here gets a little bit dark. I'm going to tell you why. Aquí lo que vemos es cuando uno se está tratando de fijar qué es lo que significa esta vida. Las personas siempre van a la librería. ¿Por qué van a la librería cuando pueden ver lo que significa esta vida viviendo su vida? All right? Think about the things that make you happy. All right, the things that make you happy, you're going to stick with that. You're gonna go ahead and make more sense of that. Things that make you sad, you don't want to go to those things. All right? But if you go to the library, it's going to tell you these things are going to make you sad, these things are going to make you happy. You can go ahead and figure out how to not do these things, but do these other things. Okay? Now, look at what it says right here. In this part of this story, it says, perhaps my old age and fearfulness deceive me, but I suspect that the human species, the unique species, is about to be extinguished. Now, that right there is a little dark. Let me tell you why I think it's a little dark. Here's a man that has lived a life. We're talking about maybe somebody that's already like 60, 70, 80 years old, okay? And throughout his life, he thinks, okay, you know what? I think I've been fooled, okay? Um, he said, my old age and fearfulness deceived me. Okay, the fact that he was not scared of anything. But I suspect that the human species, the unique species, is about to be extinguished. Why does he say that? Why is it going to be extinguished? Well, because everybody's just fighting everybody, and I mean, I'm assuming that he's thinking about this, that there's going to be wars, third world war, everything's going to be torn up, and it's going to be destroyed, and people are going to kill each other. That's the dark side of it. Extinguished, that means you're going to be gone. It's not going to exist. And then he says this, but the library will endure, illuminated, solitary, infinite, perfectly motionless, equipped with precious volumes, useless, incorruptible, secret. Now that, if you really think about it, think about it like this. Think about the people in Hiroshima, okay? And think about maybe not Hiroshima when they threw the atomic bomb and it blew everybody out there, and a lot of people unfortunately passed away, right? Now, maybe not specifically in that area, but around that area, I'm sure there was libraries. But now they were perfectly motionless, infinite. They were by themselves. They were illuminated. They endured the fight because they didn't get destroyed. Not the ones in the main area, but guess what? It's still there. So the lives of people that have written those books will stay there forever. But according to this author, everything's going to be distinguished. Now, now that you see the story, then you make your own thoughts on it. What? On what side am I that? On what side can I think of that? If you're living like a great life, think about it. Let's say that you own a Mercedes Benz, you got a nice house, you got a swimming pool in the back, everything is fine. Oh, that'll never happen to me, man. I got money. I'm sure that I can go and fly to another country. Well, what about somebody that's just trying to make ends meet? Somebody that's poor, right? Well, what about that person? Hey, man, I can probably lose my life tomorrow, and the library would still be motionless, perfect, and solitary. If I write a book and somebody kills me, it's still going to be there. So these are the things that we're trying to help you think about. Get your thoughts out. You gotta go and make them develop. Who would have thought that we would be talking about this right now? Okay, it's just a super short story that makes us think, and that's what reading is about. A story that makes us think, and then on top of that, guess what? The meaning might be different from what I'm saying, and the way you're perceiving it. That's even better. That's the beautiful thing about words and thoughts. Not necessarily have to agree. We can disagree on it. ¿Ok? Miren, aquí cuando leemos una historia, aquí podemos ver nosotros que tenemos que ver cómo distinguirla. ¿Ok? Los pensamientos de usted no van a ser los pensamientos míos. Pero aquí está diciendo la parte de esta historia que a lo mejor él no ha vivido una vida que él estaba pensando que iba a ser buena. Porque si él es destruido, su mundo, la librería todavía va a existir con libros. Okay? Well, that's the reading lesson for today. Remember, when you read something, put your thoughts to it and try to do the best that you can, okay? And remember, you don't understand some words, define them, go back, and then you can understand those words. Any thoughts or comments on the lesson on reading today, Mr. Stevens, before you start yours?
I mean,
what you said in the beginning, I was thinking about most of the time when you said that the third graders couldn't read. I think that's pretty interesting because when I was in third grade, I could read really good despite my mental challenges.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I feel like it honestly has to do with today's parenting.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the whole system can be decipher or, you know, investigated. And I think there's so many factors to it. That's, I mean, I really think it can be that, but I also think it's the school system. What happened in first and second period, I mean, grade? What happened in those years? And that's past COVID. So we're not going to blame it on COVID. Okay. And, and what happened? You know, did the teachers not do their job? Were they getting a bunch of uncertified teachers just throwing them in there that didn't care about it? That could be it. But if we investigate it, study a little bit more, something might come up. Okay, buddy, let's go and turn it over to you and see what you got for us, buddy.
All right, let's go for it. Let me share the screen here. I don't think it's going to be fairly complicated today,
Okay.
but we're going to be doing this right here, which is adjusting shadows and highlights.
Vamos a
Now,
ajustar las luces.
with the last lessons that we've covered, you basically know how to do the whole color balance, saturation, brightness, and stuff like that.
Podemos hacer todas la saturación y las cosas que le enseñamos la vez pasada.
But what we're going to be doing is just a little bit different.
Vamos a hacer un poquito diferente.
Let me pause this on here. Here we go. We're going to use Photo P for this, but you can use any editor.
Puedo usar cualquier editor, pero vamos a usar Photopea para esto.
So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for an image.
Vamos a buscar una imagen.
Let's see, what image is this? Oh, that is a tree.
Esta es la imagen de un arbolito.
Okay, well here's my Department of Public Safety. I guess we can use this one.
Vamos a usar este.
So get this off the screen. And we'll just drag this onto our project.
Vamos a poner esto en el proyecto.
Give it a couple seconds. And try it one more time. There you go.
Aquí estamos.
Now, adjusting the shadows and the highlights is actually not too complicated.
No es tan complicado como lo pensamos, lo que le voy a enseñar.
First off, let's define what exactly are shadows and highlights.
¿Qué son las oscuridades y las highlights?
Well, if you know what one is, it's pretty easy to know what the other one is.
Si sabes lo que es una, también puedes saber lo que es la otra.
So a shadow is a dark area.
La sombra es una área negra, oscura.
And if you think about it, the opposite of the dark is the light. So the highlights are the light parts.
So aquí tenemos la highlight, quiere decir lo positivo de la sombra, que viene siendo lo que tiene luz.
So you can see that around me right here, this is a layer mask, but this is also can be counted as a highlight.
Aquí podemos tener que tenemos una oscura, como que si es highlight.
Now to adjust these, we want to add an adjustment layer right here.
Aquí mero le queremos ajustar un poquito.
You can do it this way, or you could come up here to the layer and do it from right here.
Tiene dos opciones, para acá en abajo o acá en arriba.
But what we're interested in is we're gonna find one here. I think we can do exposure here.
Vamos a usar el que se hace exposición.
And you can mess with these, you can tinker with these settings how you want. You can see it's getting darker as I bring the exposure down.
¿Se fijan cómo se pone más oscuro?
And just like that, we can also fix this one right here. This messes with your highlights, as you can see.
Este también le puede trabajar con lo de la luz.
So you can see now we've got more shadows here.
¿Se fijan cómo tenemos más sombra?
So we can mess with this a little bit.
Podemos también ajustar este un poquito.
And there you go. Now it's kind of less bright on the eyes whenever we turn this down.
Ahora lo podemos ver que está más, le da más luz.
And of course, we can take what we've learned from the other ones and we can apply them here as well.
Y lo que hemos aprendido ya, también lo podemos aplicar aquí.
So we can do the brightness and the contrast as well. I can turn the brightness up and turn the contrast down.
También podemos hacer esto, ajustar los botones para el contraste.
And you can see how we get a bit of a more clear image.
Y se fijan cómo podemos tener una imagen más clara.
So I don't want this too high. So it's like that, pretty much, just like this. So I can go ahead and show you the before and after of what it looks like.
Les vamos a enseñar ahora antes y después.
So here's what it looks like before.
Aquí se mira como era antes.
It can be a little hard on the eyes because of how bright it is.
Puede ser un poquito difícil a los ojos porque está mucha luz.
And then we turn these on here and you can see that there is significantly less light.
Y se fija que por acá hay más luz por arriba.
And it'll be a lot easier on the eyes to the person that you want to send the picture to.
Y eso va a ser un poquito mejor para la persona que le va a mandar el retrato.
And you can apply this to pretty much any image that has shadow or highlights.
Y esto se puede aplicar a cualquier retrato que tiene, necesita la sombra y la luz.
And that's pretty much it for today's lesson. You can take all the things that we learned about previously in Photopea, and you can combine them, kind of like how I did here, to make something great.
Y pueden usar estas imágenes con todo lo que les hemos enseñado ya en los tiempos pasados.
So be sure to play around with your shadows, play around with your highlights, see what you can make of it.
Y trabaje con los oscuridad, con las cosas que usted ha hecho, ha aprendido y trabaje con ellos. And
There
also,
you
once
go.
again, I don't know if, what I was thinking, I don't know, did you take a lot of pictures during your New Year's and Christmas festivities, Stevens?
I know my sister did. I wasn't really on my phone too much.
You know what's crazy, man? is that I did not do much. I did take some video on New Year's, but I'm thinking, whatever happened to us? How come we don't take pictures anymore? I mean, why? It's just
I could,
something.
I could tell you my reasoning.
What is your reasoning?
Well, truthfully, um, it kind of works on two things. One, I'm trying to work on my memory. Um, as you know, and if anyone in the crowd doesn't know yet, I have a problem with my memory. It's hard for me to remember things most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, you know, being able to try and keep it in the memory, and it's a good thing I haven't actually forgot about the good moments yet. There's still some things I can remember, and there's some things I can't remember, and it's hard on my brain, but I still have the Christmas and the New Year's in my head. Hopefully, I can keep those in there. And number two, it kind of keeps me focused on the real world. See, I'm trying to do another resolution I haven't explained yet. Trying to keep my eyes off of my cellular device, off of my phone. Um, I mean, of course, I'm going to have my eyes on it regardless, but I'm trying to minimize the use because I'm guilty of being that person who wakes up in the morning. The first thing I grab is my phone.
Mm-hmm.
First thing. And I mean, of course, you'd like to keep the memory on a photo or something, but, I think to me, I just felt like spending my time with just the world and the world alone. And I want to try to focus on my
Mm-hmm.
memory.
Yeah, it brings up to mind some of the same resolutions that me and you have, like for example, quit coke, um, and also quit uh, working, or quit your cell phone usage. Um, and then of course for you all also, and also stay in shape. Continue to stay in shape. Exercise. Um, so that's a good point. Hey, Steven. So I remember, I remember you used to tell me that, and then I could never understand how somebody could just forget stuff so fast. And but that's interesting that you have that deal that you have to deal with all the time. So hey, what about your music? When you're working with music, do you ever forget any of the things that you did with your music?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, yesterday, I finally, after like 7 months, 6, 7 months, I finally was able to finish a full song. And now I'm going to make it my first 2025 release.
Uh huh.
And I still got it. I still got it.
Okay.
The thing is, though, is that I think muscle memory comes into play here. I think of muscle memory differently from normal memory
Mm-hmm.
because muscle memory kind of stems from you doing something for a long time. I've been making music for 6 years, and for 6 years, I have been doing it constantly, constantly. This whole 6, 7 months that I haven't made like a full track, um, that was the longest I've ever been away from music. The
Mm.
longest, and it was kind of weird whenever I came back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the only reason I was gone for that long is because when I transitioned laptops, things kind of got messed up,
Mm-hmm.
and you know took a while to get some things back, and even then, trying to get the full version of the program that I use.
Right, right. Okay. All right.
So,
Well, the,
a lot of that stuff happens. And then on top of that, work. I worked at Jersey Mike's for a little, and now I do landscaping work.
uh-huh. Okay.
So, you know, on top of that, work job, we're having a job, taking on adult responsibilities.
Gotcha.
You kind of get away from your hobby for a little bit, but it's refreshing when you get back.
Uh-huh. That's cool, man.
Very
That's cool.
refreshing.
All right. Okay. Good deal, man. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a little break. Once again, what did you learn today, students? Well, you learned the shadows and the highlights. And then, of course, reading. We taught you how to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and push it again. Always teach yourself different things and experiment with things. And the reason I was asking about the pictures is if you took pictures during your festivities with your family, edit those pictures, play around with them, with add all the effects that Mr. Stevens taught you, and then put them on your website and make them look cool. All right, and that you would feel good after the accomplishment. See, that's probably one of the things that in the public schools I used to do. I used to go and create projects so that way the students can see their end result and feel good about it. Over here, we try to give you little projects, but eventually, when people look at your website, it should be something that you should be proud that you created. Okay? Okay, well, I'll tell you, we'll take a break. We'll be back with science and animation. Okay? Okay, Stephen, let's take a little break, buddy.